But moving on to the next segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the 2025 NFL quarterback draft class. These are the following prospects that are entering that will most likely enter the 2025 draft class. So I'll be sharing my thoughts on the top 6 prospects at the quarterback position heading into this NFL draft. So, well, I should say, yeah, I'm going to stick with that. But this guy, now that I think about it, I don't think he's top 6. But I'm going to evaluate quarterback Carson Beck, quarterback from Georgia. Now, Carson Beck, quarterback from Georgia, at the beginning of the college football season, was raved about by a lot of college analysts, and a lot of scouts believed that Carson Beck had the capability to be the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft class, and a lot believed that he was the best quarterback from this respective draft class. So that obviously everything has fallen since then, and Carson Beck's stock has completely dropped. And in my opinion, I think Carson Beck is viewed as a day 2 pick at best at this particular point. I mean, this year, Carson Beck has struggled. 19 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Against the best SEC opponents that he's played, he's struggled in those games. And that's where you're supposed to prove to scouts that you can perform in the big-time games against the big-time opponents, because the SEC is the best conference of college football, obviously. But in games against Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss, Carson Beck has struggled tremendously. And I will give him credit for his performance against Tennessee, but 3 out of the 4 big boys in the SEC you played horrible against. So his draft stock has completely fallen, and at best, I view Carson Beck as a guy like Daniel Jones in the league, a guy like Will Levis in the league. Not really much to prove, not really much talent, not really. I don't know. I just view Carson Beck as a guy that will fail in the NFL. I don't think he has it at all. I don't think he has the it factor. I don't know if he is strong enough with leadership-wise to carry a franchise as a starting quarterback. So I don't think Carson Beck is clearly made out to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. But could be wrong, but we'll see. Now, next player that I'll be evaluating is quarterback Jackson Dart, quarterback from Ole Miss. Now, Jackson Dart is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated prospects heading into the 2025 NFL draft. And he's under the radar this season. I mean, he's played really well with Ole Miss. Kind of his play style this year for Jackson Dart reminds me of what Bo Nix did last year as the starting quarterback with the Oregon Ducks. He's a player that can make plays with a strong arm, make plays with his legs if necessary, can be a dual threat if you really need him to in the RPO game. That's the style that Jackson Dart plays in. So I think Jackson Dart's trajectory, he could be a late first rounder, early second round pick in this up-and-coming NFL draft. And Jackson Dart, man, I think he's a safe bet for a lot of teams that may consider moving off of their quarterbacks. If you want to groom Jackson Dart for a year or so, have him sit behind a veteran guy. I mean, Jackson Dart, he's got a good arm. He's mobile. This year he's got 3,409 passing yards, 22 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a QBR at 86.2, one of the best QBRs in the country. And that big win against Georgia is on his resume this year. And it's helping them for Ole Miss to stay afloat in the race to make the college football playoffs this year. So, big year for Jackson Dart. Now, I will say for Jackson Dart, the thing that hurts him is in the system that he plays in with Lane Kiffin's offense. That being a run-first offense and with the RPO, but that might turn off teams when you look at the film on Jackson Dart, on his ability or his capability, what he could do on the offense side of the ball, and for his passing capabilities, I should say, at the next level, being in a run-first offense, playing in an RPO style that benefits his athleticism. That could be a problem for scouts, or that could turn him off and turn him away from scouts. But I think Jackson Dart could be a very underrated pick for any franchise in this NFL draft. Now, next quarterback is Jalen Milroe, quarterback for Alabama. Now, Jalen Milroe in his second year starting for Alabama, it's been a process, let's say that. It's been a night and day process from what he looked like last year and what he looks like this year. It's all coming together for Jalen Milroe. And I gotta say, even though Nick Saban is the greatest college coach of all time, him transitioning from having Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer as his head coach, Kalen DeBoer being an offensive-minded guy, it's benefited him because this offense that he's playing in, he's thrived. He's thrived as a true dual-threat quarterback with a strong arm. Make plays with his arm, make plays with his legs. He's played much better as a dual-threat quarterback under Kalen DeBoer than what he did with Nick Saban. And that showed the growth that he's had in the last 2 years in his college football career as a starter with Alabama. This year as a dual threat, he has 15 passing touchdowns, 17 rushing touchdowns, has the 5th best QBR in the country. I can see Jalen Milroe being a top 10 pick for the 2025 NFL draft. Now, Jalen Milroe is one of those players you cannot throw straight into the fire right away in the NFL. He's got to be drafted by the right team, drafted in the right offensive system, and he's got to be groomed to be a good NFL player. I think he's one of those players that you got to have him sit, learn from a veteran guy, and then put him in when the time is necessary. Because if you throw a player like Jalen Milroe that needs some grooming at the next level into the NFL, he's just going to be like one of these guys like Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson, where the franchise benches them and that hurts their confidence early on in their NFL career. So I think Jalen Milroe has to be drafted in the right system, the right place, the right franchise, and you could possibly get a good dual-threat quarterback at the next level for Jalen Milroe. Now, next player, quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback from Colorado. Now, in my opinion, I do believe that Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in this 2025 NFL draft class. Now, even with a bad offensive line that he's been playing behind for the last 2 years at Colorado, he's still been a dominant player for Colorado over the last 2 years at the quarterback position. He is a big reason why Colorado has a legitimate chance to make the college football playoffs if they continue what they're doing right now and this college football season, the Big 12. Now, Shedeur Sanders, I see it all. He has the it factor. He has an incredible arm. He's a mobile quarterback. He has the aura to carry an NFL franchise on the shoulders of him and on his back. He has true leadership skills. He's cocky. He's arrogant. So what? He can win your ball games, and that's what you want in your starting quarterback. Wouldn't you rather have a confident quarterback that can win your games than one that's very mellow, one that's not very eager and aggressive on the football field? Give me Shedeur Sanders all day long. Hell, I would take him as my next quarterback over Dak Prescott if I had the opportunity to. But I believe it's going to be smart for Shedeur Sanders to pull an Eli Manning move, with Deion Sanders having the influence of where he gets drafted. And if you think that's being a diva, ask Eli Manning how that played out when he had people in his ear telling him where to go. He ended up being a 2-time Super Bowl champion with the New York Giants. Had a pretty good career. So I think it's very smart, especially how the way NFL franchises are being ran right now. Say Shedeur Sanders goes to a team in his rookie year. They have a bad year, gets a new head coach. I think the way how it's going, you want to go to a place where you know you're going to thrive and have a chance to succeed early on. Because if it doesn't, that breaks these young quarterbacks' wills. And going from the coach that brought you in or switching from front offices that brought you in to having to prove yourself again, they don't like what you're seeing, and then they move off from you. So I 100% agree that Deion Sanders choosing Shedeur Sanders' next destination is 100% great for him, and it's going to be great for his career. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. Now, next quarterback, Quinn Ewers, quarterback for Texas, for the Texas Longhorns. Now, Quinn Ewers is one of the best quarterbacks in this draft class, obviously, and one of the best quarterbacks that I've truly seen coming out of high school as a prospect over the last few years in college football. Now, Quinn Ewers had a good season last year with the Texas Longhorns, helped them get to the playoffs. They just lost against Washington, the Washington Huskies, Michael Penix, and that loaded team that they had offensively last year. So Quinn Ewers has shown a lot of growth. He could have declared last year for the draft, but he decided to come back and play again for Texas. Now, it's been an up and down year for Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers did miss time. He's having a decent year, but he did miss time. And Arch Manning stepped up and helped the Texas Longhorns win games. But when Quinn Ewers has played the top competition, he has not played up to par and up to the standards that a lot of scouts would thought he could when he's playing against the top SEC teams higher up competition. Now, that game on film where he struggled against Georgia, that really sticks out. That film sticks out because he didn't have a really good performance. They lost that game, and Quinn Ewers had a QBR of 23.6. Now, I think Quinn Ewers can thrive at the next level. He's got a good arm. Scouts is going to like his height and his size and his height, being able to stand firm in the pocket with that size, being able to see over the line of scrimmage with that size. With the right system and staying healthy, I think Quinn Ewers could be a good quarterback in the National Football League. It's just going to take some grooming maybe at the next level for Quinn Ewers. Now, final quarterback is Cam Ward, quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes. Now, Cam Ward does get talked about a lot. And for some people and their respective opinions, they believe that Cam Ward is the best quarterback heading into the 2025 NFL Draft. And Cam Ward, I got to say, he did make the right decision to stay behind, not declare for the draft, go in the transfer portal. He was a transfer from Washington State and transfer over to Miami. Made the right decision from playing another year at the collegiate level, now playing with the Miami Hurricanes. And Cam Ward, what doesn't he have? What doesn't he have that you can't like? Incredible arm. Very accurate. Show he can be clutch while trailing in ball games. He's only lost one game this year. And still in the running to win a Heisman Award for the first time in his college career. And Cam Ward, you can't question his accuracy because in QBR, he leads the country in QBR with an 89.4. He has 32 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Cam Ward is everything you want, and I think he could be the first or the second quarterback selected off the board for the 2025 NFL Draft class. Now, there's a lot more quarterbacks that could be difference makers, while a lot of scouts are in the combine, or we still have some time to see what these other quarterbacks can do. But man, this 2025 draft class at the quarterback position could be one of the most interesting that we've seen in the last few years heading into an NFL draft. But those are my thoughts on the top 6 quarterbacks heading into the 2025 NFL Draft.